Right then, welcome back to the channel. I know we've all just had a quick look at that game. Yes, I've got a big, stupid, cheesy grin. Liverpool haven't had the best start to the season, I think it would be fair to say. Yes, they gave Bournemouth a bit of a slap in, 9-0. They beat City at home, playing on the counter, which I believe was a shithouse way of play, apparently, if you listen to almost everybody. They had a scrappy little win over West Ham where they probably were a little bit fortunate, but they've just failed to beat Nottingham Forest, and that leaves them quite adrift. Now, for a side that's mentioned in the same conversation constantly and was actually up for votes for, is this one of the greatest Premier League sides ever? I'm not talking about the side that actually won the title with no fans. I'm talking about the side that literally won the Arsenal double this summer. People asking the question, is this side one of the best the Premier League has seen? Now, laughable at the time, hilarious now with the hindsight of the start of this season. They've had their pants pulled down by Napoli, absolutely smashed. They failed to score against the worst Everton side, arguably since the Premier League was formed. They've drawn with Palace and Fulham, lost to a United side who had just conceded 4 against Brentford, lost to Arsenal, and have just failed to beat Nottingham Forest. So what's happening? It looked like they started to salvage their season a couple of weeks ago. And I know it's early and things could change. But for me, the writing is massively on the wall here. Even United, and don't compare them to United. This is a team that is constantly being told they're one of the greatest of all time. Best manager, best right back, best left back, best centre half, best captain, best midfielder, best right winger. All of these, best manager, all of these accolades keep getting slung at Liverpool, but no one's willing to have an honest conversation about who they truly are. Their period of dominance. United finished above them 40% of time in their period of dominance. They delivered precisely 1 Premier League title in their period of dominance. And this season, Nunes, for me, looks rattled, got himself banned. Overall, been mega underwhelming. You had Trent and Gomez just disappearing against Napoli. Salah might have scored the winner against City, but he looks a shadow of himself. And I think Salah's a big part of this. I think the giving the contract to Salah represented a change in their recruitment policy for me. Their squad lacks legs. Milner, Henderson, Fabinho, they're all aging and slowing down. And I think that they're in a downward curve. I think they've peaked, and I think they are in the downward trajectory. And I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this around. So one of the reasons why they were so effective, more than tactics, it was recruitment. They got their recruitment spot on. The initial sort of first few Klopp transfers, bit spotty, 50-50. And then he just got sort of hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And I think that's finished. The likes of Robertson and Salah brought in as bargains, people with a little bit of experience, and they took it to the next level. Added in some of the top talent in their positions in Alisson and Van Dijk. And they seem to have a real good blend of sort of spending money and picking out the right thing. You know, this is exactly what we need in terms of this position, as well as, you know, going big on some of them. But in the summer that changed. They allowed Mane to leave, didn't replace him, and they was a little bit gassed up by Diaz's performance prior to that. I think they gave him the confidence to let him go. And at the time, I was kind of worried that they were going to let Salah go. And I know that seems mad. But no, I thought if they let Salah go, it shows a ruthless edge to them. And they didn't let Salah go. They gave Salah a new deal. And I do believe that was the wrong thing to do. I think that was the absolute wrong thing to do, because I think it's not about him, it's about what he represents, and it's about how they're trying to move through evolutions. And again, I think it was the wrong thing to do, giving him a big fat contract at the age that he is. He was only ever going to go down from there. What got them to being who they were as a team and a football club was not overpaying for older players. And I think that was where one of the reasons that United have been poor over recent years is because we have. They haven't been having success with those bargain signings like they used to have. The likes of Carvalho and Ramsey, players that might have something about them, but they're going to have to wait and see. They haven't hit the ground running the way the likes of Salah and Robertson did. And I know they got players like Thiago injured at points last season, but there was being absolutely praised to the hilt for having massive depth. Milner and Elliott proved against Napoli you can't just put a young gun and an old one together and expect any sort of results. And the squad is aging. Look at this photograph. Milner, Henderson, Salah, Firmino, Fabinho, Matip, Thiago. All are players, according to this scale, that are past their peak. And this goes to the previous point. They're not recruiting well enough to refresh this squad. All winning squads get to this point. The genius of Sir Alex Ferguson was to maintain competitiveness whilst also winning and refreshing the squad. Liverpool just don't have the same youth setup that United did to furnish the team with some of those players, and their recruitment hasn't been anywhere near good enough to maintain that level of success. They have added a couple of younger prospects, but they're not good enough ones. And the players that are actually playing week in, week out, this is like when Fergie sort of tried to defend the age of the squad that he left in 2013. Yes, you had some young players. Yes, you had Cleverley and Anderson and Phil Jones and Chris Smalling and Nick Powell, but they weren't good enough. The good players, your Vidic's, Evra's, Rios, Van Persie, Scholes, Giggs, they were done. It's not about how many youngsters you've got in your squad, it's how many are in your first 11. And we were done. Since the last big window, 4 years ago, in 2018, where they signed Alisson, Fabinho, Keita, Shaqiri, they've only brought in since then Minamino, Adrian, Longeron, Jota, Thiago, Tsimikas, Davis, Kabak, and Kanate. It's not enough. It's certainly not enough quality. And how many of them have genuinely been successful? 2? 3? Maybe? Yes, they've had injuries. Every squad's going to get injuries. And you shouldn't be surprised at that. And I think that highlights the quality depth that they're lacking at Liverpool. They've done well. I think they've been massively overpraised for what they've done and the manner that they've been getting it. It was probably a little bit unsustainable to expect them to try and compete with City. But for the level of performance that they've been able to exhibit over the last few years, one Premier League title is a laughable return. City might be the first team in Premier League history to have unlimited funds, but Chelsea for 20 years have pretty much acted like that as well. Liverpool achieved what they did because they got everything pretty much spot on. The players were the right players. They didn't really make any mistakes in the transfer market, and that was unsustainable. And the signings have dried up. The quality of signing has dried up. And Michael Edwards, the sporting director, has moved on. That might have a big part to play in why they are no longer recruiting the right stuff. And I think it's going to be hard for Klopp. I think it might be too hard for him to turn this around. I think they're done. Now, that might only be not getting top 4, but I think with the team that they've got and the profile that it's got and the sort of praise that it's got, not finishing top 4 would be a disaster for this team. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.